Irresistible Without Talking. 10 Silent Moves Women Notice Instantly. Welcome back to Ancient Stoic Secrets. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You walk into a room, and before you've even said a word, someone's eyes land on you. They don't know why. You haven't introduced yourself. You haven't tried to show off, but something about you makes them pay attention. Now, here's the truth. Most men don't realize women notice far more than what you say. They notice the rhythm of your footsteps, the way your eyes settle on theirs, how your shoulders rise and fall when you breathe. They notice the stillness, the pauses, the little unconscious gestures that you probably don't even realize you're making. And here's the fascinating part. Many of those gestures bypass her logical mind completely. They go straight to her instincts, to a place deep inside where attraction is not reasoned, but felt. It's not about wealth, it's not about loud words, it's not about flashy performances. What captures her attention, what lingers in her memory, is something much quieter. It's presence, it's confidence without noise. It's the mastery of being grounded in who you are without needing to prove it. That is what the Stoics knew. They understood that power does not come from showing off, but from self-possession, from the ability to stand firm, to carry yourself with calm strength, to project through silence what words could never communicate. And today, we're going to explore how you can embody that same timeless truth. Because here's the reality. Attraction doesn't begin with what you say. It begins before you even open your mouth. It begins with the smallest things, how you tilt your head when listening, how your eyes react when challenged, how you claim space without arrogance. Women notice these signals instantly. They may not even be able to explain why they feel pulled toward you, but their instincts understand. And those instincts are older and deeper than logic. So in this video, we're going to uncover 9 subtle gestures that ignite attraction without a single word. And this isn't about tricks or gimmicks. It's not about putting on an act. These are movements that flow naturally when you embody presence, composure, and strength. These are signals that any man can master, not to manipulate, but to reveal his true self. And here's the beauty of it. Once you understand these gestures, you'll never walk into a room the same way again. You'll never start a conversation with the same uncertainty. You'll never hold someone's gaze without realizing the quiet power behind it. You'll know that even in silence, you are communicating something rare. And rarity, in today's world, is magnetic. So let's begin. Let's step into the language of presence, into the gestures that speak to the subconscious, into the silent mastery that women instinctively feel but cannot put into words. Welcome to the power of attraction without noise. Welcome to the wisdom of stillness. Welcome to Ancient Stoic Secrets. 1. The slow head tilt. The first gesture is one that almost every man overlooks, yet it carries a quiet kind of magic. The slow head tilt. At first glance, it may not seem like much. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy, but in the silent world of body language, it speaks volumes. Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone, and instead of simply nodding or staring blankly, you tilt your head slightly. Just enough to show that you're not only hearing them, you're truly listening. This simple shift is deeply rooted in human instinct. Think of an infant gazing up at a parent, tilting their head as if to ask, "Do you see me? Am I safe here?" That small movement is tied to trust, safety, and connection. Neuroscientists even call it the caregiver response. And here's the fascinating part. Adults never grow out of it. When you tilt your head slightly while listening, you awaken that ancient instinct in the person across from you. Without saying a word, you're sending the message, "I see you. You have my attention. You are safe in this moment." Now, contrast this with the way most men behave in conversations. Many nod mechanically, almost out of obligation. While their eyes dart away, others listen only so they can prepare their next reply. And then there are those who interrupt, who rush to fill every silence, who can't stand stillness. What happens? They blend into the noise. They are quickly forgotten. But the man who listens with presence is rare. He doesn't need to force attention, he creates it. He doesn't need to speak louder. His silence holds more weight, and when his body naturally tilts forward, his gaze steady, his breathing calm, it signals something most people hardly ever feel: any more genuine focus. And genuine focus is magnetic. Think of it in your own life. Haven't you noticed how rare it is to feel that someone is truly listening? Maybe you've shared a story, and instead of waiting for their turn, the other person leaned in slightly, eyes steady, head tilted as if to say, "I'm with you, keep going." Didn't that moment feel different? Didn't it make you want to open up more? To share more of yourself? That's the power of this gesture. It lowers defenses, builds intimacy, and creates a sense of connection that no flashy line or rehearsed trick could ever replace. But here's the key. It must come from a genuine place. If you tilt your head mechanically, as if you're following a script, it will feel fake. Presence cannot be faked, can only be lived. The tilt must rise from curiosity, from truly valuing the person in front of you. When your inner calm matches your outer body language, people sense it without knowing why. And in that unspoken space, respect and attraction begin to take root. So the next time someone is speaking, resist the urge to nod mindlessly or to prepare your response. Instead, breathe. Tilt your head slightly. Lean into the moment. Let them feel your attention. In a world starving for genuine presence, that small gesture will make you unforgettable. 2. The eyebrow raise. The second gesture is even smaller, but it carries an energy that can shift an entire interaction. The eyebrow raise. Think about it. You're in conversation. Someone says something bold, maybe even a little playful. And instead of rushing to agree, you let one eyebrow rise. Just slightly, just enough to send the silent signal. Oh really? That moment, that flicker of expression, changes everything. Why? Because it's a micro-challenge. It's not aggressive. It's not mocking. It's not the exaggerated cartoon villain stare we see in movies. It's subtle, controlled, almost effortless. And yet, it communicates so much. It says you're not easily swayed. It says you're listening, but you're weighing their words. It says you're calm enough to let them speak, but strong enough not to hand out instant approval. Most men do the opposite. They nod too often. They laugh at everything. They rush to validate every word a woman says, thinking this will make them more likable. But instead, it makes them predictable, forgettable. When your attention is too easy to win, it loses its value. But the man who gives his attention carefully, who raises an eyebrow with calm restraint, creates intrigue. He introduces what some call controlled tension, a magnetic pull that draws the other person in. Think of it like music. If every note was loud, constant, and predictable, it would become noise. But when there's variation, when there's a pause, when there's a small shift in tone, it captures you. The eyebrow raise is that shift. It breaks the rhythm just enough to create curiosity. And curiosity is the spark that makes someone lean closer. The key, however, is discipline. Overdo it, and it turns into parody. Raise both eyebrows too often, and you look surprised or unsure. Raise one too dramatically, and you look mocking. The art lies in scarcity, doing it at the right time, in the right way. Pair it with a faint half smile or a thoughtful pause, and suddenly, you've said more in a single movement than you could in a sentence. Women pick up on this instantly. The eyebrow raise tells them you are not desperate for validation. You're composed, thoughtful, and you make people earn their way into your attention. That kind of presence is rare, and rarity is attractive. It's not about arrogance, it's about balance. Too much approval, you fade into the background. Too little, you close yourself off. But just enough restraint, expressed through a subtle eyebrow lift, and you create a tension that lingers. So next time you find yourself in a conversation, resist the urge to nod at every word. Instead, allow space. Let curiosity rise in your expression. Let one eyebrow lift, just slightly, as if you're saying, I hear you, but I'm not convinced yet. That's how you turn silence into power, and power into attraction. 3. The calm lean. The third gesture may look almost too simple at first. The calm lean. Most men either lean too much, too fast, or not at all. But when done with intention, when timed perfectly, this gesture becomes one of the most powerful nonverbal signals you can send. Imagine you're sitting across from someone, and as the conversation flows, you shift your body slightly closer. Not a lunge, not a desperate move to break the distance. Just a slow, measured lean. It feels like gravity itself is drawing you in. From a neuroscience perspective, that subtle shift can trigger the release of oxytocin, the hormone of bonding, comfort, and trust. It's the same chemical our brains release during deep conversation, genuine laughter, or even physical affection. And the best part, she doesn't think about it. She just feels it. She feels as though the world around her has faded, as if you've both stepped into a private bubble of connection. But here's the catch. The lean only works when it's natural. If you rush it, if you force it, her instincts will sense intrusion instead of intimacy. The human body is wired with fight-or-flight responses, and one wrong move can trigger discomfort rather than closeness. That's why timing is everything. A calm lean should never feel like you're invading space. It should feel like you're joining her in the space you've already built together. There's a sweet spot in distance about 2 inches closer than your normal conversational range, but only after you've already established rapport. If you lean in before she's engaged, it feels off. If you lean in too much, it feels suffocating. But lean in just enough, and it creates a silent message. I'm not here to crowd you. I'm here with you. Think of it like 2 people sitting by a fire. The flame is warm, steady, but fragile. You don't throw logs on all at once. You add one piece of wood at the right time. That's what the calm lean is, an addition to a connection that's already alive. Women remember that moment, not because of words spoken, but because of how it made them feel valued, chosen, unique. So watch her body language. Notice her posture, her breathing, her tone. If she leans slightly toward you, if her eyes linger, that's the signal. That's the moment to let your body follow its natural pull. Slow and deliberate. No rush, no pressure, just presence. And when you master that, you'll realize the calm lean is not about moving forward. It's about creating a sacred space where 2 people feel as if they were the only ones in the world. That's power without words. That's presence in motion. 4. The jaw touch. The fourth gesture is one you may have done without even realizing it, the jaw or chin touch. Picture yourself, mid-conversation, listening intently, and your hand drifts upward. Maybe your fingertips rest lightly on your jawline, or you stroke your chin slowly as your eyes stay steady. It doesn't look like fidgeting, it looks like reflection, and that quiet, deliberate touch speaks volumes without a single word. Why does this matter? Because the jawline is one of the strongest visual signals of masculinity. For thousands of years, a firm jaw has been seen as a marker of strength, vitality, and testosterone. When your hand moves along it, even subconsciously you highlight that feature. You're not showing off, you're not flexing, but instinctively, women notice. It also projects something deeper. The jaw touch is a gesture of thoughtfulness. It shows you're not rushing to respond, not scrambling for approval. Instead, you're considering, weighing, reflecting. And in a world where most men fill silence with meaningless chatter, that restraint feels powerful. It tells her, I think before I speak. I am steady. I am in control of my own rhythm. Writers on attraction have noted that men who naturally use reflective gestures like this tend to project calm authority. Think about it, you've probably seen this in films. The leader in the room doesn't chatter. He pauses, strokes his chin, and then speaks. And when he does, his words land heavier. Why? Because his silence suggested depth before he even opened his mouth. For women, seeing a man touch his jaw while holding steady eye contact can feel like catching a glimpse into his private world. It's mysterious. It makes them wonder, what is he thinking about? That curiosity draws them closer, even if they don't fully understand why. Of course, the gesture must be natural. If you do it nervously, too fast, or too often, it looks like insecurity. But if your hand rises gently, almost absent-mindedly, and stays for just a beat longer than expected, it communicates presence. It says you're comfortable with silence, unafraid of stillness, content to think deeply before speaking. That quiet power is rare, and rare things capture attention. So the next time your hand drifts toward your face, don't rush to drop it. Let it rest on your jaw for a moment. Let your eyes stay steady. Let her feel that your mind is working behind the silence. Because attraction isn't always about being loud or obvious. Sometimes, it's in the mystery, in the small gestures that suggest depth. The jaw touch embodies that mystery perfectly. It is calm authority disguised as stillness. And that, more than any practiced line, makes you unforgettable. 5. The pause before speaking. There's a habit that most men underestimate: the pause before speaking. In a world where everyone is racing to get their words out, silence has become rare. And yet, silence is one of the most powerful tools a man can wield. Imagine this. Someone asks you a question. Most men respond instantly, tripping over their own words, eager to fill the space. But the Stoic man, he waits. Just for half a second, maybe a full breath. That pause is not hesitation, it's composure. It declares, I'm not scrambling for approval. I set the pace. Science backs this up. Researchers at UCLA found that people who pause before answering are perceived as more intelligent, more trustworthy, even more moral. But beyond perception, something deeper happens in that silence. The rhythm of the conversation shifts. People lean in. They begin to wonder what you will say. And suddenly, your words carry more weight, not because they're louder, but because they were chosen with care. This is what I call anticipation, tension. Think of it like the moment before a song drops, or the brief silence before a magician reveals his trick. That pause makes the reveal more powerful. Your words feel heavier because they were not rushed. They were earned. Now, imagine pairing this pause with a subtle gesture. Maybe your palms open slightly, or your fingertips pressed together lightly. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. You're not just another voice in the room. You're the man who controls the rhythm. Conversations slow to match your pace. People listen more intently. And women, especially, notice the difference. They feel that you are not reactive but intentional, that you're not chasing approval but commanding respect. This doesn't mean you drag out silence awkwardly. The pause must feel natural, not staged. Too long, and it looks like you're lost. Too short, and it loses its power. The sweet spot is just enough to break expectation, to let the weight of your presence settle. It's the difference between blurting and speaking with authority. Think about the last time you heard someone powerful speak. Did they rush, or did they let silence work in their favor? Great leaders, skilled negotiators, even seasoned storytellers, they all use the pause. Because silence, when owned, is not empty. It's full of meaning, so practice it. The next time you're in a conversation, breathe. Let the silence sit for a moment before you answer. Watch how the room shifts. Watch how people lean closer. In that stillness, you'll find something extraordinary, the realization that silence, when mastered, speaks louder than words ever could. 6. The hand steeple. Now let's move to the sixth gesture, one of the most commanding signals of presence, the hand steeple. Picture this: you're speaking, your words are steady, measured, and almost without realizing it, your fingertips rise and meet lightly in front of you, forming a triangle. It's a gesture that looks natural, yet it radiates confidence. This isn't fidgeting. This is controlled stillness. Why does it matter? Because the steeple quietly claims space without aggression. It slows your energy, grounds your presence, and makes others adjust to your rhythm. Watch powerful leaders, negotiators, or seasoned speakers. You'll see this gesture appear again and again. It's not about showing off. It's about directing energy, anchoring the conversation, and signaling thoughtfulness. There's also a deeper association. The steeple resembles the posture of prayer. In the human mind, that silhouette signals contemplation, reflection, depth. It suggests that you are not a man who acts rashly, you are a man who considers, who thinks, who weighs the future before moving forward. And women instinctively read this as leadership. Throughout history, the men who could pause, reflect, and strategize were the ones who kept their tribes alive. That instinct still lingers today. When you use the steeple during a decisive point in conversation, your presence changes. Your words land heavier. People sense you as a man of authority without you ever raising your voice. And here's the beauty. It doesn't feel forced. Done naturally, it feels like an extension of your composure. But there's a warning here too. The reverse steeple, fingertips down, hands inverted, often reads as arrogance or even menace, like a movie villain plotting his next move. That destroys the calm, confident energy you want to project. Instead, keep it classic. Fingertips lightly pressed, elbows relaxed, body upright. Nothing exaggerated, nothing theatrical, just calm authority. Imagine you're at dinner, speaking about something meaningful. As you pause, your hands rise into the steeple, your voice steady, your gaze relaxed. Without knowing why, people take you more seriously. They feel your presence in a way that words alone could never create. That's the quiet magic of the gesture. It projects unshakable self-possession. The steeple is elegance in its purest form. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't shout. It whispers confidence. And whispers are often more powerful than shouts. Because the truth is this: women don't just notice what you say, they notice how you exist in silence. And when your body language reflects calm mastery, attraction is not something you chase. It's something you embody. So remember, the hand steeple is not about performance. It's about presence. And presence, more than anything else, is what makes you unforgettable. 7. The shoulder shrug plus smirk combo. The seventh gesture might be the most playful of them all, the shoulder shrug with a smirk. Picture this moment. You're in a light conversation. Maybe there's a teasing comment. And instead of defending yourself with words or you lift one shoulder, just one in. A lazy, casual shrug. At the same time, the corner of your mouth curves into a faint, knowing smirk. Nothing exaggerated, nothing forced, just a flicker of effortless charm. Why does it work? Because it's a paradox in motion. The shoulder shrug communicates, I'm easygoing, I'm not taking this too seriously. The smirk adds, but I see the spark between us. Together, they create what psychologists call flirt tension, the sweet spot between trying too hard and not trying at all. You're not chasing, you're not indifferent, you're walking the razor's edge of mystery, and that is magnetic. Think of how most men respond in these moments. Some overdo it, laughing too loudly, agreeing too quickly, desperate to seem fun. Others withdraw, saying nothing, coming across as cold or uninterested. But the shrug and smirk, it's perfectly balanced. It says you're confident enough to not care too much, but sharp enough to show you're engaged. It's charm condensed into a single frame. Here's the subtle beauty of this move. It lingers in memory. She might not even react in the moment, but hours later, that image flashes back: the playful shoulder, the smirk, the easy confidence. And when a gesture replays in her mind long after the conversation ends, you've already shifted the dynamic. You've become the man she remembers without knowing why. But timing is everything. A two-shoulder shrug reads as uncertainty or dismissal. A forced smirk looks arrogant. The power lies in the one-shoulder lift, the faint curve of lips, done sparingly. It must feel spontaneous, not rehearsed. Done right, it's like a spark that flickers, then disappears, leaving curiosity in its wake. You can practice this in everyday interactions. Next time someone teases you or throws a playful remark, don't rush to defend yourself. Just lift a shoulder, smirk, let the silence do the rest. Watch how the energy changes. It's a signal that says, I'm unbothered, but I'm present. And that balance, detached yet engaged, is one of the most attractive combinations a man can embody. The shrug and smirk combo is lighthearted, memorable, and infinitely powerful because it requires nothing extra. It doesn't demand attention, it earns it. In a world full of over-rehearsed lines and over-the-top displays, this gesture whispers something rare. Self-assurance, and self-assurance, when mixed with playfulness, is irresistible. 8. The eye contact plus half smile. The eighth gesture takes attraction to another level, the eye contact with a half smile. This is not just a look. It's an entire unspoken conversation wrapped in a single moment. Imagine you're across the room. Her eyes meet yours. Instead of looking away quickly or grinning too wide, you hold her gaze steady, calm, deliberate. And then, without breaking the connection, your lips curve into the faintest half smile. Not arrogant, not goofy, just subtle, just enough to feel like the two of you share a secret. Why is this so powerful? Because it creates mystery. Behavioral experts call this a measured emotional reveal. You not showing everything, you letting her glimpse the first line of a story and leaving her curious about the rest. That curiosity is what makes her lean in, wondering, who is this man? What did that look mean? Science tells us this moment has real effects. The combination of eye contact and restrained smile can trigger the release of phenylethylamine, the very chemical link to the feeling of falling in love. Think about that without saying a single word. You can create the chemistry of romance in her brain. And it doesn't happen because you forced it. It happens because your presence made the silence between you feel alive. But as with all gestures, the difference between intrigue and discomfort lies in execution. Hold the gaze too long without the smile, and it feels like staring. Smile too wide, and it feels cartoonish. The magic is in the restraint. A steady gaze held just a beat longer than expected. A half smile that looks as though it slipped out naturally, like a thought you weren't planning to share. That balance makes the moment feel private, intimate, almost forbidden, as if no one else in the room exists. Consider this. Words are easy to forget, but the feeling of being seen, truly seen, is unforgettable. When you give a woman that moment of connection, when she feels like she's been drawn into a silent secret, it doesn't leave her quickly. Hours later, that half smile plays back in her mind. She wonders why she can't stop thinking about it. And that replay is where attraction deepens. So next time your eyes meet hers, don't rush to look away. Don't break the spell. Hold it, let the silence breathe, then let the corner of your mouth curve, just enough to suggest warmth and mystery. That's all it takes. A single moment, a simple gesture, a quiet secret only the two of you share. Attraction isn't about what you say. Sometimes, it's about what you don't. 9. The space-claiming gesture. The 9th gesture is something you've probably witnessed but maybe never understood: the space-claiming gesture. Imagine a man walking into a room. He doesn't speak, he doesn't rush, he simply places a hand on the back of a chair, leans casually against a booth, or stands with his feet set just slightly wider than average, weight balanced, posture relaxed, and suddenly, the energy in the room shifts. People glance up. Conversations pause. Why? Because his body is speaking a primal language. I belong here. This is not arrogance. This is not aggression. This is presence. For thousands of years, our instincts have measured strength and leadership, not by noise, but by who could hold ground with calm certainty. Anthropologists call this territorial subtle signals that communicate confidence without a word. The man who claims space effortlessly is read by the subconscious mind as high status, trustworthy, capable. Think about the difference. One man fidgets in the corner, clutching his drink, shrinking himself to take up less space. Another enters, moves slowly, rests his arm casually along the back of his chair, and leans back as if time is on his side. Which man do you think people notice? Which man do you think a woman feels pulled toward, without knowing why? Psychologists call this the high-status perception bias. When we see someone hold their ground naturally, without apology, our brains label them as important even before they say a word. That's why the space-claiming gesture works so well. It's not about forcing attention, it's about drawing it. Naturally, by existing as if the space already belongs to you. But here's the catch, it must be effortless. If you're trying too hard, spreading yourself wide, puffing out your chest, it comes across as insecurity, dressed up as confidence. True presence doesn't demand it, simply is. So the next time you enter a room, slow down. Move with intention. Claim the space you're in, not by taking it from others, but by owning yourself fully within it. That's the difference between the man who asks for attention and the man who attracts it without a word. 10. The power of stillness. The final gesture is not even a gesture at all, it's the absence of movement. Stillness. In a world where everyone fidgets, scrolls, taps, and shifts restlessly, stillness has become one of the most underrated displays of strength, and yet, it may be the most powerful of them all. Think about the last time you were around someone truly still. They didn't rush to fill the silence. They didn't jitter or twitch. They simply existed, calm, steady, grounded. Didn't it make you lean in? Didn't you feel curious about them? That's the magnetism of stillness. The less unnecessary movement you make, the more your presence expands. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind of a calm man is like a fortress, immovable, unshaken by noise. When your body reflects that same inner fortress, others feel it instantly. Every small shift you make carries weight, because it's rare. Every pause feels deliberate, because it is. Stillness magnifies everything else you do. Imagine you're at a dinner table. Everyone is talking over one another, voices rising, hands waving. And then there's you, calm, still, composed. You lean back slightly, your breathing steady, your movements minimal. You don't need to fight for attention. The room adjusts to you. People slow down, watching, waiting. And when you finally do move or speak, your presence hits harder than anyone else's. That's the power of stillness. It's not about doing nothing, it's about making every small action matter. It's about training yourself to be comfortable with silence, with space, with patience. And here's the truth. Women notice. They feel the difference between the man who can sit still and the man who carries himself like a mountain. One is forgettable, the other is unforgettable. So practice stillness. Next time you feel the urge to fidget, to tap, to shift nervously, pause, breathe. Own the silence. You'll be amazed how quickly your presence grows when you stop chasing and start grounding. In a world of noise, stillness is the ultimate display of strength. So, let's bring it all together. Attraction doesn't start with flashy lines or loud performances. It starts before you even open your mouth. It begins in silence, in presence, in the way your body speaks without words. From the slow head tilt that signals trust, to the eyebrow raise that creates tension. From the calm lean that draws her in, to the reflective jaw touch that sparks curiosity. From the pause before speaking, to the steeple that radiates quiet authority. From the playful shrug and smirk, to the unforgettable eye contact and half smile. And finally, from the space you claim to the stillness you embody, these are not tricks. They are truths. They are the language of presence. Women feel these signals instantly. They bypass the mind and speak directly to instinct. And when you learn to master them not by pretending, but by aligning your body with your inner commune, stop chasing attraction. You start embodying it. So ask yourself, which of these gestures are you already giving without noticing? And which ones could you begin practicing with intention? Because once you take control of your presence, you take control of how the world responds to you. If this message spoke to you, if even one idea shifted the way you see yourself, then do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to Ancient Stoic Secrets, and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss the next video, where we'll uncover more timeless wisdom to strengthen your presence and influence. Until then, remember this. Observe more, move with purpose, and own the space you stand in. Because the Stoic man doesn't ask for respect. He commands it, silently.